Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us again for another episode of Liftoff, your favorite real estate podcast on all of the internet. I am joined today by a very special guest, Chief Growth Officer of REMAX, Chris Lim. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Chris, when you joined REMAX, not that long ago, I think mid-January here, right?
Yeah, it's just going on almost 6 or 7 months. So pretty still new to the job, but really excited to be here.
I didn't know you, but I knew of you, and I did my little background check, and you've got a pretty impressive resume. You've led and made significant differences at a lot of places. And I got to tell you, thus far, being here, you've led a change in branding. You've given us, working with the leadership team, some new compensation models. There are no sacred cows, it appears. You're giving a little bit of latitude to really jump in where no man or woman has ever gone before. So I, for one, love the direction we're going. I think the whole leadership team, and particularly you, are doing a great job. So I just want to start off by saying thanks for joining REMAX, and I'm looking forward to more to come. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I feel very fortunate to be here. It's a great team. We've got a great opportunity. And yeah, we're making some big changes. There's a very new pace of play here at REMAX, and we're doing everything we can.
So that begs the question. We converted to REMAX from an independent back in 2000. And we always liked the fundamentals with buying for top producers and experience, successful, more productive than the average agent, the branding, the reach, the international aspect of it. But like everything, we need to stay up to date. And with all opportunities you have, why REMAX?
That's a great question. Look, I think, like you, I have great respect. This is obviously a founder-led organization. I had the good fortune of meeting Dave and Gail very early in my career and having advanced conversations with them. So REMAX has always been on my radar. I grew up in a town right outside New York City where REMAX was a big mover. My family's in real estate. My mom was a real estate agent. And I remember when REMAX opened in my hometown in the early 80s. And it's always been the home of the top producer. And so what's really exciting for me as someone who's in real estate is also to get back to that, to be the home of the top producer, to be able to provide different collateral and technology and tools that really takes advantage of this incredible, extraordinary, actually, global network that we have. And so for me, this was really the only choice. I've done some incredible things through my career that have led me to this moment, which I really believe is REMAX and helping REMAX define what does the next 52 years look like.
I love the fact that you walk in our shoes, that we have amongst our leaders at REMAX corporate there, we do have some people from the outside, but we do have a good bench of real estate related people. And again, led by you. You've been a top producing realtor yourself in the Bay Area. You led companies on growth, and you've been a president of a luxury brand. All of those things factor in really well with the direction that I'd like to see REMAX go. And I'd love to hear your vision without sharing too much that maybe in the incubation setting, but where you'd like to see us go through this year and into next year.
I appreciate you recognizing that because I think that was very intentional by our CEO to bring someone in who's actually done these different positions. I started selling real estate 23 years ago. I built a team. That team became a brokerage. That brokerage was acquired by Anywhere in 2016. I've worked for different larger size firms. I've led expansions. And so I think that was very intentional, right? To have someone on the executive leadership team who actually knows the business inside and out like I do. And so that's driving a lot of the decisions that I'm bringing to the network, right? So you've seen us bring a brand new listing presentation, which we announced at the Broker Owner Conference. That was sorely missing. And I think those are some of the things that I'm trying to bring, is really trying to understand the directive is to win more listings, save more time, and bring brokers back to profitability. All things that I've achieved in my career. So I'm very intentional in taking those three core values and trying that mission and how to really bring it down to the network, through the hands of the broker, to our agent base. And so every day, that's what I wake up focused on. How do I actually move the needle on those three items?
Chris, having been able to go to BOC just a couple weeks ago, It was such an exciting time gathering with so many other great leaders throughout the REMAX network. And that was my third BOC that I got to participate in. And I can easily say that the energy from you all was clearly unique and different than other years in the past. And it's something that I know you all have been very vocal about. And you touched on something that I want to hear more about. In fact, I actually have next to me the book that's going to be rolling out at some point. But tell us a little bit more about some of the energy behind what you envision with the perfect pitch. That's the name of the listing presentation that you put together.
That's correct. First of all, thanks for that. I agree. Like, obviously, I've never been to a broker owner conference before. It was my very first. But unilaterally, people are saying it's different. It feels different. We're showing up differently. And so I tell people that February of this year at R4, in my mind, was a demarcation. That was when we showed off our new logo, the new branding, the new direction. And Broker Owner Conference was the first time that the network, the membership was able to actually see it. I appreciate you saying that because I felt it. I felt that the energy in the room was different because of the people who were in the room. And one of my very first initiatives on stage, Eric said, we're going to help agents win more listings. We're going to get back to that. But I went back to the drawing board and I said, how do we help our membership do that? And I thought there was a real opportunity for us to improve. And so that has been my goal, is really for REMAX to have the home of the pitch so that if you want to win listings and you want to be sitting here at the kitchen table, we're going to help you put your best foot forward, no matter where you are in your career. If you're a top producer or you're an early list, we know that's crucially important, the pitch to win, right? And it's all about listings. And so I really made it my mission to redefine what our listing presentation looks like. And so it's going to be a series. I'll be developing it over the next year. We'll also be doing the same thing for the buyer presentation. But every part of the journey, how does the broker owner, what part do they play? So we're going to be launching an agent endorsement letter that's signed by the broker. I think that's crucially important for the broker owner to stand behind that agent and say, yes, my REMAX agent is the most trusted, most professional, and can help you get the highest value in the shortest amount of time. And so my effort is 100% around this initiative of the perfect pitch. And so what you saw, what we highlighted, is just the beginning. We're just getting started on what this series is going to look like. And it's our commitment at REMAX to deliver on that.
That's so important. The presentation is the cornerstone of success. Our top agent here, who's Jordan Cohen, top agent for REMAX in the world, he wrote a book, and in that book, he talked about the power of a listing presentation, which, as you just touched on, now it has to be as powerful with the buyer's presentation. We work so hard at developing leads and then nurturing them, converting them to an opportunity to meet with them in an appointment. And if you go up there and first of all, you have to get those at bats, but if you go out and strike out all the time or an occasional single, it's a lot better when you get doubles and home runs and winning more of the time. That can dramatically make a difference in an agent's life by winning 2, 3, 4 more times a year, particularly in Southern California with the size of commissions that we can earn. So yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing there.
Yeah, 2 things. When I was the founder of Climb Real Estate in Northern California, my goal was to help my most inexperienced agent. They're the ones that really need this, right? Because it's that one listing that actually gets their career on track. It helps them get to the next level. Because as we know, listings become the cornerstone, as you said, of our business. It allows you to meet buyers. And so our goal back then in 2004 was, how do we build a world-class listing presentation that helps our most inexperienced agent win one more listing that we know is going to be a game changer? Jordan's incredible. I'm a huge fan. I follow him on Instagram. I see all that he does. And yes, it's really important for us to help him win more listing. And so we have a different package for what we provide him. But the perfect pitch is really about helping agent no matter where they are, from that first time for their very first pitch to someone who's as seasoned as Jordan Cohen. And so we're not only putting together the collateral and the pieces that help them through that entire journey, but we're also going to be creating coaching that will be allowed to help with that. And I think we're going to have to get Jordan on to help us, because I can't think of a better person to help with the home of the pitch.
He's a big fan of REMAX, so I'm sure he would be willing to help in any way.
But what's interesting also when you think about top producers, especially in Southern California, and I want to talk about that because I was the former president of Christie's International Real Estate, and LA is such an important market. It was one that I helped develop and grow and work with some of the top agents in Southern California, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. And in that market, we heard time and time again that the global aspect is so incredibly important because people who are moving to the greater Los Angeles area, they're not from there. They're from all over the world. And so sellers demand that global exposure. And something that I've really been focused on is that no one does that better than REMAX.
Right.
Think about it. We're in 110 countries and territories. No one else can claim that other than us. And I fear that a lot of our membership isn't leaning into the fact that we're global. And so you're going to see some really exciting things coming from me on the LinkedIn platform. I'm all about being on social media. I believe it's such a crucial way when you're overseeing such a large network. I've been in contact with Jordan. He's got the most incredible listings, extraordinary listings all over the network that deserve that exposure. So how do we as a network help and lean in to get that to a broader audience who is largely international?
Yeah. Over the years, we've heard that it's tough for REMAX to compete in super luxury, even luxury. And it's rubbed a lot of us wrong because when you think about it, we have the most experienced agents, we have the most productive agents, we have an international brand, we have the most recognized brand. Just because we are part of a former auction house or something like that. So I think you're really nailing it that we need to sell what makes us special, and being international, the international company, more than anybody else in the world, can definitely make a move and help us with that.
Yeah, I will tell you, when I first came to REMAX, I was astonished because I think a lot of times you have a perception of a brand based on your experience in a local market, right? And so I had my own impression because of where I lived and how REMAX played in my local market. And what I quickly realized is Jordan's got 20, 30, $50 million homes. In Toronto, we have $35 million home. So we are luxury. We do luxury.
Right.
In many markets, we're seen as the premier brokerage. In Canada, we have incredible market share. And I think we've just not done a great job of telling the network, telling sellers, telling consumers, telling our agent base that in a lot of parts of the world, we've got incredible listings. We've got extraordinary inventory. And so my job is really focusing. And so you'll see a lot of the announcements that we're making, we're really changing the pace of play. And so I'm working very closely with Travis Saxton, who's head of innovation, and he are partnering really closely to get out to the network, to get out to the industry and our agent base that REMAX is luxury, REMAX is global, and we are the most trusted, we are the most professional. And so I think it's all there. All the pieces are there, which is actually why I tell people for my career that I can't imagine being anywhere else.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you for sharing that too. I couldn't agree more. And something that you said really made me think about how we do need to be more vocal and explicit with the value that we bring and the story that we tell. And that comes from a place of conviction. It comes from a place of belief. And a lot of our agents need to be resold on the value of REMAX. And I think that you all as a leadership team have demonstrated that. Maybe for other people who are tuning in, who maybe have been with the brand quite a while and are seeing some of these changes, what would be some of your feedback as a way to encourage them about this next chapter, that maybe they're apprehensive, maybe they just need to see some of the vision from a different perspective? How would you encourage somebody in that position?
I'm just asking people to lean in. That's it. Lean in. And I'm a big believer in showing before I ask. And so I'm trying to show. When I show up on Instagram, I show up on LinkedIn, how we show up in the brand, and what I'm bringing to the offering, right? Really focused on that. And so really, I think we're getting a following, and you're seeing it, which is really encouraging. It's why I'm trying to get the word out, being on these podcasts, and just asking people to give us a chance, because this is not the old REMAX. This is a new REMAX. It's a very new pace of play. And we are very focused on broker owners, helping them get profitability. We are focused on having agents win more business. I am very clear it's a tough market. It's a very difficult market. And I'm doing everything I can to help put our very best foot forward. And so that's what I can promise you every day. And my team and I wake up with one thing in mind: helping our agents help win more listings. And that's really all we're focused on.
Because you are thinking about that every day, and I do much the same thing. So we're kindred spirits in that way. Looking at an agent that's struggling or newer, or even an agent that is successful but can't quite bust through that top echelon, we know they have to have a powerful presentation. So we've clicked that box and we're going to work on that and help. The other thing is, especially with your background being an agent up through a team leader and such, there's such a myriad way to do lead generation. If you were to advise new agents or any of these agents in their various categories, where do you think one should really either focus or consider?
I think the number one advice I give is how you show up online. I'm astonished how many agents don't Google themselves, because that's exactly what their clients do. That's exactly what their sellers do. They get on the internet, they get on their phone, and they Google your name. How do you show up? Just like you did for me. How do I show up? And so those are all things that I think are crucially important. And a lot of things are for free. So it's really easy to set up profiles, make sure that you're getting reviews. I had a system. Every time I had a closing, before I closed, I asked for that review from that seller when I was in clear, or buyer, when I was in discussion with them. Maybe you're doing more buyers in this part of your career. You have a little bit more time. Set up your social profiles so that you're seen and you're visible. Are you on those third-party portals? Are you on those review sites? How are you showing up? Because that's what your sellers are doing. And so a lot of times you may not be getting invited to the table because you're not seen. So with the advent of AI and how much blogs are going to be playing into how agents are chosen, we're moving away from SEO and moving to how chatbots and how we're showing up with ChatGPT and Manus. How do you look, right? So I always advise agents and newer agents in particular, because it doesn't cost anything. Take some time, try to get yourself set up, because your background and your experience is crucially important. The second piece I always think about is, what is your value proposition? What is your value proposition to a seller? What makes you different? What makes you unique? And we're all unique. That's the beauty of it, right? There's not one way to do real estate. You look at our membership, 147,000 agents, and every agent is unique and different. And so the way you do one thing is maybe the way someone else does something differently. And so for some, it may be sphere of influence, some may be referrals. We're hoping here at REMAX that we're going to start to deliver on leads. You're seeing that with Lead Concierge. You're seeing it on Max Refer, right? We're trying to do our part as a brand to be able to help broker owners and their agents succeed. But we need you to lean in. We need you to adopt our tools. So I think it's a two-part thing, right? It's looking outward, how you show up online, and then leaning into the brand and seeing, what do we provide? What could we give you that will help grow your business?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic way of putting it, Chris. It's amazing. Sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. Agents can get so busy that they forget to think in the shoes of the potential clients that they're serving. It's so simple, but so true. Think about the first thing that they're going to do. They're going to Google you. So make sure that your presence online, I love that. Make sure you're visible. So going back to what you said about leaning in, I know that lots have been rolled out with Max Tech and some changes with that. And I'm really excited about some of the stuff with marketing as a service, as well as another way of creating that visibility, maybe for some people that don't have as much familiarity around what marketing as a service is going to be, or some of what that entails. Do you want to share a little bit about that too?
Sure. Yeah. First, I want to comment on, because I was an agent and I ran a team, so many times you're focused in your business, not on your business. And so I think you're focused on the deals, the issues that you have that come up with your buyers and your sellers, that you're not working on your business. And so I think it's really important to sometimes take a step back and look at, where is your production, hold yourself accountable. So I wanted to make that comment because I think it's something that a lot of agents don't do, because we're so busy every day. Our days are filled up, and we don't sometimes need to take a step back to see, where are we in our business? Are we meeting our goals? And what are we working on? And so I think that's certainly something here at REMAX we're trying to do a lot with our education, to really show what are the tools that we're launching. And a lot of them are new. We're so fortunate to have Travis Sexton here as head of innovation and all the different initiatives that he's working on. And so it's just getting educated on marketing as a service, lead concierge, right? And this is just the beginning, right? We've got so many things going on. And so there's a ton of trainings happening here at REMAX University on a part of our learning platform. And so I just ask that you give us an opportunity. You can always reach out to me. You can reach out to me on social, my email, and I'd be happy to guide you to get you where you need to go.
Wow, that's a great offer. Thank you for that. I know that when I transitioned from being a primary agent and then had to spin a little bit and become a leader, and I've seen it many times in top producers who then build a team and they go through a process, and some just aren't good managers, but they're great agents. I think Jordan Cohn would tell you he's never really wanted to build a big team because he didn't want to be responsible for all of them. He wanted to have the product, which was him, and have maybe a little support with him, his assistant and such. And you've had to do that adjustment too. Was there a learning process and then an adjustment that allowed you to excel at each step as you go?
Absolutely. I think it's a great question because when you talked about Jordan, that is someone who is really self-aware. He knows what he's good at. He knows what he's not good at. And I like to say, not everyone is built. I think that's a really important distinction. I think so many of us in the industry, we're trained and conditioned that you have to have a team to be successful. And that's not the case. I think Jordan's a classic example of someone who knows exactly what he's good at, exactly what he should be doing. And I love that. And for me, it was, if you're not good at something, then the next step is actually to find someone who actually complements you. So a lot of us people in sales, we're great at sales. We're great at relationships. We're great at nurturing the customers and clients and giving them an incredible customer experience. But we may not be organized. We may not be good at the transaction. We may not be good at contracts. And so I encourage people to think about, really be intentional about what your strengths are. And so that first person needs to typically be an operator, someone who actually is focused on process. And I learned that very early on at Climb when I had a brokerage. I would work really hard to recruit that top producer and I'd get them. And then that was where it ended.
Yeah.
And we did not have an onboarding process. I lost 2 agents that I had worked 2-3 years to try to recruit. And within 90 days, they went back to their former broker because I didn't give them that experience because I thought my job's done. I recruited them, they signed, right? They moved their license over and now my job is done. And I did not do the handoff. And so I fixed that and we created something, an onboard that I'm very proud of because we had so much better retention. The agents had a much better experience and then they stayed with the company long-term. And so to answer your question, I think it's really important to really have self-awareness and self-reflect on what you're good at. And part of it, this is even the answering, is the team a right thing for my personality? If you're a control freak, a team might not be the right thing, but some teams are really great things for. And so I think a lot of that's working with you as an owner to figure out what is the right thing for me and what can I lean into my local brokerage and what can I lean into the brand as you make that decision. Because I think a lot of times we're just conditioned to start a team because we think it's the right thing to do. And so many times we see that even the top agents are not great managers. And it requires a different skill set.
It does, yeah. And then there's unique individuals like you and me that would go from being a top producer and then building a team and then leading 100 agents, 500 agents, or you, 140,000 agents worldwide. But you're driven to a great extent because you get satisfaction in moving the needle and helping the agents and us, thankfully, by the way, when you started with those 3 things and you included us broker owners and helping us in profitability, REMAX has always been a great agent-centric company built by or top agents, but we sometimes got a little lost there. So thank you for that. But back to that whole thing, it takes a unique individual to want to do what you and I want to do. You at a different level than me,
but it's the truth. Even today, my first hire was Daniel Dennis, who was the former president of Illustrated Properties. He was also the youngest CEO at Home Services. His family has been in the business in Alabama for his entire life. He has a law degree and he has a master's in real estate, but he's always been an operator. And so my very first hire was someone that I felt like I could partner with. And so he's bringing a whole new level to global service and how do we serve our broker owners so that they can deliver a different and enhanced service to our agents. And so I think no matter where you are in your life, in your career, whether you're an agent or a team lead or a broker owner, finding that person that has a complementary skill set to you is crucially important. And I even do that today. It's the first decision I made was bringing on Daniel because I had such great respect for how he ran Illustrated Properties that I knew he would have a huge impact on our owners. And you're seeing his hard work. The way that we're rolling out revised fee model is unlike anything we've done in the past. And I attribute him and the team of our AVPs throughout the country who've done an incredible job being methodical about how we roll programming out so that it's successful for our network. And so no matter where you are in your career, there's an opportunity to look at who is the right person to connect with that marries your skill set with a skill set that maybe not be instinctual to you, but is crucially important for the business.
Yeah. And for you folks
That's
out
great.
there that aren't in the REMAX network and are watching this, first of all, thank you for tuning in. But secondly, question yourself, are you getting the support that you deserve? Sometimes we feel an obligation to a personality, that broker that you know and you like. But in the final analysis, you don't owe them anything, and you don't owe me or Chris anything or Derek, but you do owe yourself the very best. And you really should seek out who can support your vision to have the best life you can in real estate. And I'm excited to say that we have a lot of great things at REMAX and REMAX One, and we're getting better all the time, led by Travis and Chris and Daniel and many of the others from corporate, and then very passionate about our team here as well. So think about that. Does this sound like a place that really has your best interest in heart?
I'll answer
Yeah.
yes, because I know your reputation, what you're doing in that local market, how important your market is in the greater Los Angeles area, and how much those clients, those sellers, those buyers rely on the brand, but also what's happening locally.
Yeah.
You guys do an extraordinary job of providing a high level of service to your agents so that in turn, they can give the highest performance to their buyers and sellers, which is helping them achieve the goal of home ownership, or in the idea of a seller, that they're getting the highest price in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
We didn't rehearse that or practice that, but thank you.
That's the first time I've ever said that.
Thank you.
No, Chris, genuinely, thank you for those kind words. I know we're coming to a close here pretty soon.
Sure.
Really do appreciate the time that you've spent with us.
course.
So many great bits of wisdom to take away. But one of my final questions, if not the final question that I wanted to throw to you was, what does growth mean to you personally? I know that's part of your job title, right? Chief Growth Officer, and I think can be applied in so many different ways. But I'm curious what it means to you personally, and what would you challenge maybe an agent within, or maybe who's not even yet part of REMAX to consider and think about when it comes to growth?
I love that because I actually wanted it to be part of my title because it's words that I live by. I think for a lot of people in the industry, they were very surprised by this move that based on my experience come to REMAX. But I see this the biggest opportunity of my career because I think growing and doing things that are different is so important. Whether you're an agent and you're trying to break in and really perfecting that growth for that buyer agent is how do I perfect my pitch so that I can really communicate in my community and get the word out. For a seller, it might be different. It might be increasing their price point. How do I grow my business? And for an owner, it's how do I provide a value proposition so that there is no choice? When I look at your brokerage, in my mind, there's no better place to work. You've created this incredible culture for them to come, but you're always working on that. And like even you having this podcast, that shows me your growth. It's not natural for me to be on a podcast, but I'm pushing myself because I know it's important for me to get my message out to REMAX and the broader network about what we're building, how we're growing. And so whether it's personal goals or for the company goals, growth is such an important part. A mentor of mine told me a long time ago, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Mhm.
And I think he was right. If you're not growing, you're dying. And so I try to live by those words, that growth, whether it's personal growth, whether it's sports or the time I spend with my family or friendships or partnerships, work relationships, there's always an opportunity to grow and to be better. And so that's what I try to achieve in my life and what I want to bring to the network.
Well said. That's a mic drop moment. You can't stay the same. It's like standing on a picket fence. You can stay for a minute, but pretty soon you're going to fall on one side or the other. And I've been at companies that are growing and I've been at companies that are dying. And I can tell you, for the agent, they want to be at a growing place and that helps them grow. And we want a growing, vibrant, growing not only in numbers, but growing in ideas and concepts. And that's REMAX now more than ever. So thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate you. I look forward to seeing
Yep, it's a
So-
mindset. Growth is a
It
mindset.
is.
And here at headquarters and with our broker owners and what we deliver, I'm seeing that it's infectious. It's
Mhm.
always about momentum. Sales is momentum. And we have the momentum here at REMAX.